Hi, and welcome to the Purpose Podcast, the show that helps you to discover your purpose and release equity within. My name is Andre Spence, the Purpose Coach, and I speak, I coach, and I run events. But life wasn't always so purposeful. Starting out my career on a reality show called Sweet 16, scouring through multiple different types of jobs within the creative and entertainment field, the fact is I always ended up feeling fear, frustration, and failure. But it was my mentors that helped me navigate and discover my purpose. It's my hope through these sit-downs with my influential friends and industry leaders that this podcast will serve as your mentor and help you discover your purpose and release equity within. Today we have the Desthy Dee. Can we give her a round of applause? Thank God we're not having claps. In the building. So before we started this, I asked Desthy Dee, could you give me your bio? And she gave me one short thing, which is not a problem because I'm just going to read it. And it says, Desthy Dee, mental health speaker, talk show host, and content creator, founder of Live with Desthy Dee. So I've got Desthy here today because we go back a little bit. When I first met her, honestly, she didn't even know what to say. She was very scared.
In this very building.
This building.
Upstairs. 12 of us.
She's showing
no idea what we were doing.
Armour secrets. She's telling everybody Armour secrets. But yeah, in this room, and I've just seen her go from being a caterpillar in a chrysalis to being a beautiful butterfly.
Appreciate it, Andre. I remember that. Listen, that day was so nerve-wracking. I didn't even know what I was walking into. It was almost intimidating. There was a table of 12 influencers just sitting there like, we don't know each other, but we're here for a purpose. We're here for something. And then Andre just started going around and just started talking like, okay, so like, where are you from? What do you do? How did you get here? Now that question, I was just like, ooh. I was like, I don't know if I want to say what, like where I was going through or where I've been to get to where I am. So I just closed my eyes and I just transparently just said what came from my heart, which was my story, and that was my childhood trauma.
So this is what we're gonna go to now, because this girl's gonna take over my show, so I need to rein it back in. And yeah, Desthy, let us know what is your story, and don't worry, I'm gonna be writing down some notes as you're speaking, and then I'm gonna ask you some questions after. So when were you born?
So I was born in 1993. 1993, I came to the UK in 2003. I was born in Indonesia, in Jakarta. Obviously, I live with my parents and my brother, and I was gracefully given up by my parents at the age of 9. I came to the UK.
Gracefully, wow.
Gracefully, because there was a purpose, there was a plan. It was never pain, it was a plan.
Okay, woo. Oof. It wasn't pain.
It wasn't pain, it was a plan. A plan that turned into purpose. Let me get into that. So, yeah, I was given up when I was 9. I came to this country to live with my grandma and my granddad. Essentially, when I came here, I didn't know why I was coming here, apart from I want to go to a nice school. Had a lot of Amy's and Lucy's and Sarah's. When I went to school, there's not a lot of Asian people. I'm like, wow, everyone's just white. And I'm living in London now, and I guess the purpose in the beginning was so that I can have a better life when I came to this country. But I didn't know that my mum was never going to join me in this life for the rest of my life.
So your mum gracefully gave you up, as you said.
Yeah.
And you lived with?
My grandma and my granddad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I came here. She left after a month. And on my 10th birthday, which was 3 months after she had left, that was December 2003. And that's when... Well, that's the story about the birthday cake.
Go ahead.
I do it in Life with Desthy Dee. I often celebrate my birthday. I have an edition during the show in December where I do my birthday, or I celebrated my niece's birthday when she turned 10. The reason to is why that was because when the cake was being brought out in the living room and I had all of my friends, I had all the party, I had all my Sunday best dress on. As we were about to blow the birthday cake, I made everybody wait and I said, hey guys, wait, my mum's gonna come. An hour went by, 2 hours went by, almost 18 years went by, and she never came.
Same age.
And from then on, I then quickly realized after that I had to be my own mother, father, brother, grandmother, and grandfather. Even though I lived with my grandma and granddad, at the end of the day, they're 60s, they were in their 60s, so they don't have the energy or the the effort to invest in me as much as my mum and dad. Like, my mum and dad was active with me. You know, we would go out shopping, we would go ice skating, we would go do so many things. My grandma and granddad, what can they do apart from like, yeah, you know, we'll take you to school, we'll come back home. So essentially they were there, but they weren't there as my parents. So I was seeking a lot of love and support and that parenthood and that security and safety through my friends' parents. So then my friends' parents became my parents. And I would thrive off the love, I guess, from a mother and a father by watching kids getting picked up from school. Seeing kids, you know, celebrating birthdays at restaurants with their parents and stuff like that. And I was 9, just sitting there absorbing that energy, because that essentially was the only thing that I can do. That was the only way I could understand human behavior, how I was supposed to be loved as a kid. I used to question, I'm like, why don't I have my mum and dad? Why aren't they coming back for me? But I was angry. I was an angry kid dealing with it, but I quickly knew that I was like, nope, I got to snap out of it, because I can't come to school emotional all the time. I can't come to school like angry and having all these issues. I'm a new kid. I need to mend and blend with the rest of the other kids. So I was a kid at school, but I was an adult at home from the age of 9. I had to take care of myself. It wasn't a thing when, like, you know, when you go to school and you have that 100% attendance certificate, you usually want to show it off to my mum, like, yeah, mum, you know, I just got a certificate. Or your first date with your prom date, you know, like even celebrating, I don't know, like 13th, 15th, 18th, 16th. All of that. And I had to reassure myself and learn how to fulfill and become self-sufficient in giving that love. So I grew up essentially understanding and knowing what a child needs and how to love a child. So I had to become an adult and a mother and father to myself and loving myself the way my mum and my dad would. I've actually placed myself in my dad's shoes for a very long time.
Wow.
Because essentially it was easier to move logically than emotionally, even though I'm a female. But as a child, growing up, having all these questions and wondering, like, why me? Like, why do I have to miss out on not having my mom, you know, not seeing me going to prom? Why am I missing out on, like, my mom seeing me going to university and seeing me just grow up generally from a child to a woman? So yeah, I put my dad's shoes on for a long time.
And so then you go to sixth form and you get to university.
Yeah.
Right?
I went to sixth form, I went to university. At the age of 21, that's where I guess all of the emotions and the feelings that I've held in from when I was a kid, because you have all these questions that are raising in your head, but you had nobody to, like, ask to or to answer to. I didn't have a mentor, you know. I only met Pastor Ade last year, like, but I couldn't ask these questions, not because I felt like I couldn't. My grandma quickly quite dismissed any story about me being here. Wow. You here, that's it, you here now. Wow. And that's just that. So I couldn't have the discussion of, it wasn't, you know, is it okay for me to grow up without a mother? Was it okay for me to grow up without a father? And at 21, that's where severe depression hit me. I didn't know essentially what it was, but I knew that it wasn't normal to feel like I've just had a 10-hour sleep and I'm tired. And I'm like, I don't even want to go to uni anymore. I don't even see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. I don't even want to be here. Why am I here? Why am I even getting a degree? Who am I getting a degree for? My parents are like more than 5,000 miles away. Do they even appreciate that I'm waking up every day to get this degree? After, I guess, few months of being in this state and still going back and forth to uni, juggling 2 jobs and having a long distance relationship that was all the way in Canada, essentially I had nobody but my phone. Desthy Dee. Desthy Dee was something the influencer. I started my Instagram when I was 17, and that was my escape. At that point, like, I was gassed. I was in my first year of uni. I just wanted to dress fresh. I posted it on Insta every day. I just wanted to dress in fresh clothes and just you know, like, yeah, I'm making a statement. I'm in uni. Like, I want to be with the big kids. I want to be in the second years and the third years. But posting those outfits made me feel more confident within myself, even though I still had a bit of, like, I was at 50-50 by going to uni, because I knew academically it was too hard for me, but I just wanted to achieve it for the sake of my grandma and granddad for bringing me here, and for my mom and dad. I turned myself into like one of the student unions. It was like a student union where they like provide advisors and stuff for the uni students. I walked in there and I was just started bursting into tears, and the advisor was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And I was just like, I'm delayed on like all of my work. I'm not attending lectures. I'm due on my rent. I feel like I can't go to work. I was like, mentally, I don't know what's going on with me, but I don't feel like myself. And I feel like I don't want to be here. As soon as I said that, she went out of the room. I don't know what she did, but she came back out of the room and then she just started writing notes. The week after, I tried to see her again and she quit. I was just like, oh my God. I was just like, that worried me. She quit. I went to reception. What did you do to the
woman?
I was like, I came back and I was just like, "Hi, I'm here to see so-and-so." And then the woman was like, "Oh, she's no longer here." I was just like, it's my story. Like, am I really that bad? Am I going through a really deep, like, bad situation right now? So I deeped it even more. I saw another advisor and I'm just repeating the same story. I got fed up of just repeating what was going through my mind. I just needed somebody to just reassure me. What I actually needed was just someone to come and tell me, "You know what, Destiny, everything's going to be okay. You know, it's not really as bad as you think it is. If you just take a step back and just look at your life for a second, it's not as bad, or it's not coming down on you the way you think it is. But because you are alone and you've been holding it down alone for so long, it's heavy, but it's not bad." So I walked into the walk-in clinic. I decided to go to Birmingham High Street, and I went to the walk-in clinic and I saw a sister. It wasn't even a nurse, it was a sister. I burst down into tears and I said to her sister, I was just like...
When you said sister, that means a nun? Nunnery?
Okay. Yeah, so she was like a nun, a nurse, but she wasn't an official NHS nurse. She was part of them, but she said, I'm just a sister, I volunteer here. So I was like, okay. I spoke to her and I told her about my situation, and I said to her, I was like, I feel like I don't have any reason to be here anymore. She sort of just like held my hand, she looked at me, and she was just like, "Good God, how long have you been feeling like this? How long have you been walking with so much pain on your back?" And I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. It's the first time I'm feeling it and I'm recognizing it, because I know I no longer feel like me. So she was like, "What would you like to do?" I was like, I just want to get better. How do I get better?
Well,
the first thing that NHS will do is give you medications. It wasn't even an advice. It was medications. From Prozac to Zoloft, and then added together, now we have sleeping pills and also antihistamine. Antihistamine is an allergy drug that makes you a little bit drowsy. I took that twice, rotation in a day. That makes it 8 pills, including like anything else that I have to take to keep me stable within health, like vitamins and stuff. So that was 10 pills. 10 pills quadrupled within 3 months. After 3 months of taking these medications and throwing up every day, about 4 or 5 in the morning, I would just project sick. My body couldn't take it. My body was rejecting everything that I was taking, because it wasn't normal to take that much like depression medication. And in that volume, at the age of 21, my body was like, nope. I was banned from living by myself. I was banned from going to public places by myself because of the amount of medication I was taking. It was a big hazard, and they classed me as suicidal. Wow. After 3 months of being in that medication, whilst I was actually in this state of depression, bear in mind, I was homeless. Because me and my grandma, essentially, like, I love my grandma, but we bump heads a lot. She I don't want to say she had failed to be a mother to me. She did everything that she can. Whatever she went through with her childhood, with her mother, she implement that to me, thinking that was the right way to raise a child. And I see the way her mother raised her, and it was hard. It was tough love. There was no "I love you," there was no "I miss you," there was no "congratulations, well done, sweetheart." There was none of that. It was very much like, okay, good, are you okay? All right, good. It was very basic. It was almost like I'm just there with a woman that have been in my life for a very long time. She was my guardian, but there was no depth to the relationship, right? So what had happened was when I was in uni, she had rented my room to an international student. I didn't know. She didn't tell me. I came back home and I said to her, I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff in my room that I don't, no, that's not my stuff. And she's like, yeah, somebody's living there. Wow. And I said to her, but you didn't tell me this is summer. Summer is usually 6 months off. Like in uni, like you get hella time. Like it was almost like 6 months. It was like 4 months, something like. And I said to her, I was like, so what am I going to do? Where am I going to live? My accommodation's run out. I can't extend it. Like, I've got my 2 jobs, but I've told him I was coming home for summer. And she was just like, you're an adult, figure it out.
Wow. Jeez, bread.
So
I'm an adult, I can't figure it out.
Yeah, so when she said that, I was just like, Jesus. I was like, all right, cool, D. Just hold yourself together and go back to Birmingham. I went to Birmingham, and a friend of mine that wasn't even like, we weren't really like friends, but we just met through uni and through like courses, right? She kindly had offered her accommodation and shared that with me. Bear in mind, legally, for a student accommodation, you're only allowed 1 student per room. So I was illegally staying there. She took the risk of having me in her room, and I would go basically in and out of the accommodation before the receptionist comes in the morning. I'd sneak in, or when she leaves or when the receptionist goes home, then I would sneak back in, and you know, I would alternate depending on when so I don't get caught by the receptionist. And the girl was bigger than me. She was a bigger size in a respectful way.
Thank God this is a podcast. You don't want to see my face.
In a respectful way, we differ in size. So I'm a size 8. She was around a size 20. Okay. In a 3/4 bed, Andre, how do you figure out someone who? Well,
you're going to stand up on the wall and you're going to lie standing up.
It was mad trying to figure out how we were going to sleep. Imagine this being a bed, right? So she would sort of like sleep like kind of like slanted, like sideways. Half of my body is on the other end of the bed, and the rest of my legs are actually on a chair. And that's how I slept for 6 months.
But you was in accommodation. We give God thanks. Come on, give a round of applause to God.
I still had a roof over my I still had a roof over my head, and I had to just keep it. I had to keep it focused for 6 months and just do my best. Now, after 6 months, we lived obviously in a student accommodation. There's a lot of us, we were all friends. There was 12 of us as a group. Somebody had lost money in the flat. I just came back from work, and all of my friends are now in the common room, and they were like, Desti, come and take a seat. I was just like, what's going on, guys? Am I missing something? What are you lot doing here? What's a special occasion? And everyone was just like, we need to talk to you about something. I was like, all right, sure.
So this is when you was in the accommodation in the girls' room?
Yeah, this was in the accommodation. This was like essentially like in the living room, kitchen, area. This is like the chilling spot. Sat down now, so everyone was already seated. There was 11 of them, 12 of us including me. And walking into a room of 11 people, no idea what's going on. It is intimidating because already you can feel the energy in the room was on you, and you just know something's happened, and they're looking at you as a suspect. So somebody spoke and was like, look, one of our friends lost £200. And, we know that you're struggling. I was just like, whoa. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, are you guys accusing me or asking me? And they were like, well, you're the only one without a home. So we have to point the fingers at somebody who needs it the most. And I looked at them. I was just like, shame on you guys. Shame on you guys. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm homeless. I'm still paying the person that is lending me and sharing her room with me. I'm still paying her. I'm giving her money, and I'm working to try and give her money. And meanwhile, you guys are accusing me of stealing money. It gets worse, because I remember like at student accommodation, after you leave for the summer, you tend to like give some of your stuff to like a recycling bin, like, but it's not a recycling bin where there's like rubbish bin in there. This is just a bin where you can put your clothes in there because you have nowhere else to store it. Especially for international students, they put their stuff in that bin and everything's brand new because they can't take it to China.
And I hope I could go in there after, because those Chinese people have money.
Well, listen, so the girl that I was staying with, I told her, I was just like, I remember putting my clothes in that bin, but I opened it and I saw some new stuff. I was like, oh my God, are you seeing this? And she was just like, yeah, some brand new stuff. I was like, I'm gonna take it with me. So I remember like a couple of months after that moment where we grabbed the stuff, she witnessed it. Obviously, it was brand new, everything. And one of our flat friends, they were heading to a party. It was a theme party. I think it was gold, black, red, and white. And she was just like, oh, I need shoes to match my dress. And I remember having this red heels that I took from the bin, but it was brand new, Andre. It was brand new. The girl had told the girl that I was staying with, told the other girl, and was just like, Desthy got that from the bin. She don't value you as a friend because she got that from the bin, and that's what you're worth. And I just felt like, okay, you know what? I no longer belong in this space. Even though these are my friends, I have to just liberate myself because this is too toxic. Jesus. I know my intentions were real. Even though I had explained to the girl, I'm like, yes, I got it from that bin, but it was brand new. I was like, never did I mean to disrespect you or even think that there was no correlation. Like, that wouldn't even think. Now, like, who would even think of that? Like, I was even shocked that she said that to her. But anyway, moving forward, I left that accommodation. My friend now took me on board with her dad for a bit. Her dad was a social worker, so essentially they took me in for about a month. At this point, I was still at the doctor's, so now we're already almost 6 months into depression. I'm taking still the same amount of medication. I went back to the doctor's, check up on my blood pressure. It was through the roof. And the doctor was just like, okay, Desthy, if you don't ease up on the stress, or if you don't take some of the weight off of your shoulders of what's causing you all this trauma, we're gonna have to put you into a mental health asylum. And I was like, no way. I was like, I'm homeless, I'm broke, I'm like in debt. I'm not gonna
be in a mental.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be in a mental asylum. Like, I'm not gonna be in a loony bin. That's what people used to call it, a loony bin. And essentially, I was like, okay. I was like, I only have £500 in my account, and I ran away. I left.
What is going on with your story?
I left the country, and I just jet to Canada, to Toronto, because at the time. So
you've gone to Canada now. What's happening in Canada? Sum this up, girl. I'm going to ask you some questions.
That was where my current partner at the time lived. He lived there. And we were in a long distance relationship throughout uni. I was visiting him comfortably while I was in uni, like every 4 months. But at that time, I was in no position to be living in Canada, and neither did I have a plan to live there. But that was the only plan I had. I have to get away from here. If I stay here, they'll track me and they'll come and get me and they'll bring me to that mental health asylum. They'll drag me.
I'm out of here.
Like,
so you're with him now. What's going
on? So I was there. My family didn't even know I left. I just left. I didn't tell nobody. I felt like I didn't need to justify myself, because I knew I needed to do this for me. And bear in mind, the first thing I was supposed to pack was the last thing I didn't pack, which was my medication.
Oh, wow.
I went through cold turkey. As soon as I got to Canada, I realized, I was like, oh my God, I was on my medication. I was like, I'm going to have a panic attack. I'm going to have a heart attack. I was like, I'm going to die.
Blood pressure.
I went to Canada. I was just like, I didn't know what I was going to do. But one thing that I was still doing, even throughout the whole entire depression, was my social media. I was still taking pictures, regardless, because it was the only time I felt like I could be beautiful, I could be valued, I could be worthy, I could be free. Yes, social media gives you that approval. Yes, social media gives you that validation. Guess what? At the time, it saved me.
Wow.
It saved me. If you use your platform for a purpose, I'm telling you, based on real life testimony, it saved me, because it was the only thing that gave me a reason. You know what? There is a reason towards why you're here in this world. There is a reason towards why you are needed.
So we need purpose. We need something to focus on.
That's it. We need a purpose. And I didn't know what purpose was. The word purpose was so like, what was purpose back then? But I knew that through my platform, there was a lot of people, there was a lot of strangers from all over the world showing love, and I'm just like, how come my own family wasn't showing me this much love?
Wow.
I went through a journey of isolation. I disconnected myself from everyone back home in the UK, simply because I guess I was shameful. I was going through this journey and I didn't know how to open up. Depression back, 5 years ago in 2015, what was depression? What celebrity was going through depression apart from actors and actresses? And even then, it was very taboo. Nobody wanted to talk about it because it was too sad. It was too negative. No, nobody wants to hear that. It's emotional. But now it's National or International Mental Health Day. All the bloggers are wearing, like mental health day t-shirt, mental health awareness. You want to be boasting, shouting.
And you're saying you don't know what I went through.
You have no idea what a person has to go through to even feel like I'm here, and I feel worthy of being here.
Okay.
But for you to post and just I'm not judging any social media influencers or bloggers or models who take part in campaigns for mental health awareness, but be mindful, be considerate of the people who went through that journey. Your campaign, great, it's spreading awareness, but what else are you doing with all that platform, with all those followers, to reach out to the people who actually suffered? And that's where I created Life with Desthy Dee. It was essentially the only safe space that I had where I could become vulnerable, where I could be myself, where I could cry without being judged. And I had made Desthy Dee, and I built Desthy Dee to be the person that I needed when I was a child. I became Desthy Dee, and Desthy Dee was the person that I needed from when I was 9.
So what do you believe your purpose is?
To recognize, I know my purpose is to recognize. I know I will and I can. My purpose is to recognize and support people's and humans' gifts and showing their stories or their experience through their gift, and support them through that gift. Because at times where I wanted to model, or at times where I wanted to dance, or at times where I wanted to paint and do great. Because
she can dance, guys.
At times where I wanted to do everything that I wanted to do that makes me happy, I didn't have anybody in my ear to say, I support you. Go and do that.
So you said in the very... Can we give her a round of applause for that wonderful sorry, I'm spitting everywhere. Story. You said pain. It wasn't pain, it was a plan.
Yeah.
So what's the importance of pain in your journey?
My pain was my wealth. Essentially, my pain was the wealth that I needed to recognize why I'm here. It was the strength that I needed to be who I am today. I needed to go through that pain to be this person today, to support those who... So with Life with Desthy Dee, we celebrate your story. You don't have to tell your story through a story. If you can dance your pain away. If you want to sing, sing your pain
Dance
away.
your pain away.
Dance your pain away. It's essentially just a platform, a room and a space where you are celebrated.
You didn't let them know that you found your purpose after being at our event.
We get into that.
Yeah, come on, get to it. Get to it now.
So how I found my purpose and discovered it was when we were upstairs and I told my story for the first time. And Andre have encouraged and supported me through telling my truth and transparency since then in almost every platform, including his platforms, Purpose Leaders and Purpose Experience. And
now the Purpose Podcast.
And now the Purpose Podcast. And essentially I gain my belief through your belief. Motto of my show is I believe in you because you believed in me first.
Come on.
And now
you gave a high five.
And now I believe in others. Because this is, you've seen the video of what I do in every show. Turn to the person next to you and tell them I believe in you. And turn to the person on your left and say, I'm proud of you.
Come on.
And just seeing the reaction.
I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of you. We've got models in here as well, guys. I'm proud of you. Fifi, I'm proud of you. Mike, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everybody.
And essentially just seeing that reaction just right there was exactly my reason. That was my reason. Everyone's like, why do you do this show? When I do that part, that's my reason. I don't even have to say much. I do it to essentially liberate people from their pain, and I try to get to their core. And usually through the story and through the experience of our childhood trauma, it somewhat brings the inner child in you to want to be set free. And I don't push people, I don't force people to go through their breakthrough, I don't persuade people to go through intervention, but all I do is I'm just being honest, right? It's a comfortable space where I can start by just telling a little bit of my story.
And I want to add, because I've been to all your events.
Yeah, right.
And they are phenomenal. You know, she brings everybody together, different influences together, the public together, and definitely through the people that rap or sing or all sorts of different people coming together as one. And it is definitely a safe space, and even it helps with even mental health, just being able to have the conversation.
Right.
So
It's more comfortable than being in a room where you consulted by an advisor, because I've been through that and I don't like that. All you do is just repeating your story. No. So I created a space where it's a big room. You're in a room full of strangers. You may only know maybe one or two people in that room. But one thing in common, that all of you guys are human beings. You guys have a heart. You guys have gone through something, and you guys have a story. Every single person has a story. You are supported to tell your story in the show if you want to, if you choose to. And the last show that we just had, that was dedicated towards men's mental health.
We had Nathan Hector earlier.
Right, and we had powerful 12 kings in that panel. Solid
Jamala.
kings. Plus Jamala. So there were 12 men and 4 women. And I wanted to celebrate it for men because women support women. Queen. Queen. Queen.
Yeah.
What about the king?
King.
Right?
King.
It's always women empowering women. Yes, babe. Yes, beautiful. You know, you see women empowering women all the time on social media. But men sometimes feel a little bit like, I'm trying to show love, but, you know, like just a little bit. Don't want to do too much because I'm not trying to I'm not trying to bum friend you. But listen, you are encouraged to show love the way you want to. Just give pure love. Like, what's wrong with that? Why'd you have to give a limit to it? Or why'd you have to put a limit to it? If you're genuinely showing love, just go full out. Say it with your chest.
Well,
you know?
Come on.
So
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
These days, I've got a chapter in my book which is going to come out at the end of May.
Cheers.
You're all going to buy the audio book on my birthday next week. And I've got a chapter that says, is social media ruining your life? Because we know this aspects of the algorithms and the dopamine that you get from seeing all the likes. And even though my Instagram's taken off all the likes, it's a bit bizarre. So we often do hear about negative effects, but I've actually heard you say in here, when I look through my notes, you said social media saved me.
It saved me.
So what are the positive aspects of social media?
It was that when you post and you put your content out there, and the support that you get from the people, and especially if you lack that in your life, it substantially create that happiness, the addiction of happiness in you, because you were lacking in that from when you were a child, or from however long that you've been lacking in that for. And
so what your parents weren't able to give you, and what your grandparents weren't able to give you,
everyone
and family
around
weren't
me,
able to give you, that's what social media did for you. And that's why it's important that parents, when they got their children, create that kind of loving environment to let those young people know that they are reassured.
That's it. That is exactly.
And they are enough.
Spot on. And social media allows you, I guess Instagram particularly gives you more of a freedom for you to be who you want to be. Twitter is a little bit more judgmental. Twitter is pretty brutal. Yeah, Twitter is very brutal.
Is it? Don't come in on Twitter too.
Twitter's full of bullies. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, I was scared of Twitter because essentially anything that you say, someone's ready to be like, nah, what? Yeah, like someone's ready to cuss you out for you to speak your mind. So I wasn't really like a mind speaker in terms of, I didn't want to really like talk too much, but I knew that I wanted to express it creatively. So I really like dancing because I came from performing arts school before I went to uni. So I liked putting dance videos when I was when I was doing it on Instagram. I liked taking pictures. And
so that platform works for you.
Yeah, and it's essentially like I met new friends in uni through social media. So it was nice. It was just nice to like...
a lot of positives from social media. I've got another question for you.
Sure.
You stated that, you wanted that kind of reassurance, etc. And then there was a woman, the nun, sister, that came to you and she reassured you. And you then realised around that time, at the same time, you had that one friend that allowed you to be in accommodation.
Yeah.
So what I hear now is that it's important having those people, the right people around you. How important is it having the right people around you?
Man, having a support system is everything. Like that's your pillars that keeps you up. That's your backbone. At the end of the day, everyone talks about now.
That's why I'm going to be honest. Every time I do an event, Desthy calls me a couple of days before, a week before, and says, "Andre, how is it? Do you need any help?" I said, "Desthy, I'm alright. It's fine. I just want to check up on you today." She rang me today, and I said to her, "Listen, why are you calling me for? Don't let me down, girl. Don't let me down. You better be coming here." And she's like, "No, I just wanted to find out that you're okay, and if you need anything, and if you want anything," I said, "Just get yourself to London, yeah, all the way from Milton Keynes." She's a real one. You continue.
Essentially, you just never know what anyone's going through. It's free for you to ask somebody, "How are you? Are you okay?" And from telling my story, having quite a lot of people knowing about your backstory now, I now find out a lot of people have gone through what I've been through. It's almost like finding a mass of people that was going through the same journey as you, and now you're just like, oh my God, like I have friends that I no longer feel like judgment, that I feel like that's not going to judge me for it because they've gone through what I've been through. And essentially, these people are also key in your life to keep around because, through my show, I help a mass of people, right? Because essentially, I can't give up a day of my life helping every single person that needed my advice or support through mental health. So that's why I created the show, is to essentially help more of a mass amount of people because I knew I couldn't dedicate to mentor one person at a time. Having a circle of friends that are just real, like all of my friends, there's 5 of us, and none of my friends do what I do. Nice. They look at me for Desthy. They value me for Desthy. They've known me for Desthy, and I essentially even refer Desthy Dee as another person. And my friends.
It's good to be able to separate your working life, isn't it, from 100%. Who you really are.
My friend Fifi here, she knows and she understands when I say that I refer to Desthy Dee. Desthy Dee essentially is my security, my safety, and my provider. So it's me. Obviously, exactly I'm doing it.
Shocker said, isn't it? He's got his persona on stage, etc. One last question that I have for you, unless somebody else has got a question, is forgiveness.
Forgiveness,
because you've had a lot of people reject you from when you were born, essentially, all the way up to where you are now. So, forgiveness. I'm not even going to have a question on that. It's just a word.
You have to understand, even though you may have been given up in this world, God never gave up on you, and you can't give up on yourself. There is a reason towards why you're still here, because the mess that you were in is a message from God. All the test that you went through is now going to be your testimony, and all the pain that you went through will turn from plan to purpose. And that was the reason why I knew I had to forgive for my own peace sake, even though, yes, I went through a lot of, trauma and mental abuse from everything that I was lacking. I had forgiven my grandma. She knows that. I had forgiven my mother and my brother and my father for what had happened. It took them, I'm not going to lie, it took me a long time to understand what forgiveness was and to walk in life continuously and liberally, just free in peace.
Because it frees practice.
You. Right. It takes practice. And it also takes you to be selfless. And I was put in a place where I had to be selfless more than once in my life to realize that Desthy, just because you were born with no parents, essentially I now I'm in control of everything. From when I was 9, I was in control of everything in my life. Even now, going into adulthood, I feel like I'm still very much quite controlling of things, but it's only because I fear for my safety and for my protection, because the only person that I can look out for is me. The only person that would look out for me is me.
But now you're knowing that God is looking after you.
That's it. I recognize that God will always have your back. And yeah, when I discovered the real purpose of selflessness, and you know, the last show that we just did for Life with Desthy Dee for the men's mental health, I remember going to your worship experience on the 16th of November. Pastor Tommy was talking about a testimony that he said in that very moment, if you are going through something, you will be tested for the next 12 weeks. I had counted my 12th week. My 12th week is actually on the 8th of February. I have been tested for the past 12 weeks, Andre, because when I contacted the brands and the sponsors for the event, I didn't beg them and tell them like, oh, hey, you know, I'm an influencer, I'm creating this event, so I just told them, I was like, hey, I'm creating an event, how much will this cost? Because when I went to the worship experience, I had a conversation with God, and God said, you need to do this event as Desthy. You need to know who you are, and you need to be valued as Desthy, because if Instagram is not to be here tomorrow, you need to know who you are and what you can do on this earth.
So basically what you're trying to say is that God spoke to you and told you to give up your name. She's got around 150,000 followers on Instagram. So what she's expressing is that she could have easily gone to these brands and said, bam, I need something. And they're going to give it. Why not? Because you got the followers. It's just going to get some product. But she made a decision to go there, and then she had to so that she can understand, and give the money so that you can understand who you are. You're more than your name or your followers.
That's it.
That's beautiful.
Because essentially, you know, I work with brands. You know, I get sponsors for restaurant, all of this. But this time, I contacted every single service that I needed for my show, and I was looking at bills after bills after bills. Andre, I was
seeing... You know when you see the bills, you just want to cry.
I was seeing like £5,000, and I emptied my savings. Fifi can condone and actually confirm this, that I saw £21 in my account. I went to the worship experience, and I came to this office. Right, that was the day that I created the video with Pastor, but Pastor didn't know what I was going through. I didn't want to tell him, because why? I've been through my journey where I had nothing. When you have nothing, you can't lose anything.
Come on!
Nothing else.
Come on!
Right? But I knew that this time, if I had lost everything, it was for everything. It was for everyone. And it was worth it for me. I didn't want to cry when I came here. And I saw Pastor. I just told Pastor, I was like, please pray over me. I'm finding it really difficult to pull through for this event. And he was like, you can and you will. In my head, I'm like, Pastor, you can and you will. It's not going to pay £5,000, you know? You can and you will.
He said the same thing to me. When I saw that it was going to have to cost about £3,000 for a venue, I said, sir, we shouldn't be having it here. He said, go and find the money. When you hear that, you just have to go. You just have to
go.
You just have to go. But that's the best. That's what you need. Those people that can encourage you to let you know it's okay. Go and do it. And you always pull through. Even though the count goes lower. Yeah.
On Monday. So Saturday was your event. On Monday, the sponsors have done the research on me, and they've come back to me, especially one which was the letter with the word mind behind us, with the balloons over it. Guess how much that was? £800. And they said, we see what you're trying to do. We just looked at your page, and we see that you're trying to create this men's mental health event, and you self-funding and self-organizing this whole thing. We'll give it to you on our behalf. And I was seeing the money coming back again.
Yeah.
And
yes, girl.
Fifi was coming down from London. My other friend was coming down from Wolverhampton, because I wasn't eating. But recognize when I told them, I was like, I'm not eating because I'm starving myself. God is making me fast.
Yeah. Wow. Look at this girl.
He was like selflessly, he's trying to make me detox and clean everything up for in preparation for this show, because there's going to be big breakthroughs about to happen. So Desthy, you need to detox yourself from the account all the way in.
Yeah. Come on, Jess.
It was mad. After having that, so this was what, maybe coming up to like maybe 2 or 3 weeks into the show, right? There was no team. We had no team. It was me, you, my other best friend MJ, and my friend Judge. Judge was working full time, so it's literally just me, Fifi, and MJ. Fifi and MJ was doing all of the mailing list and sending out the invites. I did the graphics, logistics, event location.
Apart from I do the graphics, it's Mike.
I had to, because at this point, number one, I don't have the budget to hire anybody, and at this point, God is simply telling me, nah, I'm putting you through a test.
Come on.
This is now what, my 3rd week out of my 12th week. So coming up to 2 weeks before the event now, radio shows, presenters are hearing about my event. Bear in mind, I wasn't doing like PR stuff. I did like maybe a couple of videos on my Instagram just announcing to everyone, hey guys, I'm doing a men's health show. I wasn't begging anybody to promote it. Andre selflessly like promoted it for me out there. But the reason why I wasn't pushing it the way other influencers would was because this wasn't for promotion. This wasn't for sponsorship. This was real life. This was real men going through testimonies in their life, and real men deserves honesty. Like, I'm trying to create an honest event.
So I'm tapping the on the table.
2 weeks coming up to the event now, I started my first the first interview was at Westside FM. That was with Samuel Eni, and then a few days after it was Foundation FM. From Foundation FM we went to Represent FM, and now we are in the show. A couple of days after, BBC Radio 1 was like, Desthy, come to the show. We heard about what you're trying to do, and we just want to spread the words out for you. We love what you do. We just want to congratulate you. And at that point, being valued for Desthy and not Desthy Dee gave me the final approval and validation that I've always needed. At that point, I'm like,
that was God telling you.
I didn't need 130 or so followers. The only follower I needed was just one, which is God. Number one, I didn't need 1,000, 5,000 likes or one comment. I just needed God's like. And
yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And 2020, I had said to myself, I didn't know what the plan was going to be after the show. And I'm going to reveal, like, you guys are going to see all the revealing of the campaigns that God have lined up for me this year. Like, I'm doing a London Fashion Week brunch, an empowerment brunch in Mayfair. For 13th of February, I'm going to line up I'm lining up like some of the most powerful, influential women just to gather to talk about vision for 2020. Who would have thought I'd be doing a brunch in Mayfair? I've got my first school tour, and that's also in February. I'm doing Reach Academy. I've got a gig in Birmingham. I'm going to go back to my uni. I'm going to speak there. After 5 years of suffering and what I went through after quitting uni, after 3 years with no degree now, I'm coming back there to speak. Who's flexing? That's my biggest flex. That's my biggest flex of 2020.
Come on.
Quitting uni, and now I'm lecturing everybody.
Yes.
But essentially, the biggest lesson learned was that put trust in God. God is always in charge, and He knows His timing. He's always in control, because if you lot only knew what was waiting on the other side for you, and at the time where God is like, okay, you know what, I've had enough of you taking control. Hold my drink for a second. Let me take everything from you, because you're trying to play me right now. And that's what God essentially did to me, because I've been in control for so long. I didn't trust Him. God was like, you only call me when you need me. You only pray for me when you want something. And now you're screaming for me because you're struggling. No. I'm not helping you. I'm taking it all from you. So I let everything go, and I just gave it all to Him.
Give us a round of applause.
And then He wanted to see how I was going to handle it. And now I see what He's got lined up for me for 2020. I couldn't be more grateful. I couldn't be more thankful. I even wish that I became more selfless earlier. I wish that I sacrificed even more.
And that's a leader, isn't it?
Listen.
Selfless.
That was my biggest lesson ever in 2019. I feared being selfless, because that took me in a place where it happened 5 years ago when I was homeless and going through depression. I was broke and everything. I've been through that. And God just wanted to test me one more time. You can get all the blessings that you want. I will triple it.
Hey.
But give everything to me first. Everything that you've built for yourself for the past 5 years, it belongs to me. You were born with nothing. You're going to be dying with nothing. It all belongs to me. Can you selflessly give that back to God?
Come on.
And God will reveal it back 3 times more.
Desthy! Look at Desthy! Change woman!
Oh.
Isn't this good? It's good, isn't it?
Oh.
And now I'm just enjoying the ride. Like, Andre,
You need to make sure she go Fashion Week.
Listen,
She's at Fashion Week.
It's mad. Like, I've just found my PR. I've just got a new management. If you don't really know the management that approached me and that wanted to manage me, do you know who they manage? And I can share this now because we had the meeting. You know, we signing the contract. They manage Thierry Henry.
Come on.
I'm like,
Thierry Henry. Come on.
They managed Thierry Henry and John Terry. When I looked at the manager, I was like, bro, why am I next to footballers? You know, like, why am I next to footballers? And essentially, I looked at the management and I saw that they were really big on mental health speakers or mental health advocacy and like mental health campaigns with the sports. With the sports, with the sports entertainer, and all of the sportsmen. So they were like, Desthy, we love your value and we know you do more than just speaking, but essentially what you do, we are very we're very interested and we want to basically create a bigger opportunity for you. And I've just been approached by an app as well. Essentially, they're a cross between YouTube and Netflix. They approached me and they said, Destiny, we want to do docu-series of you because we're looking for 20 global influencers. But these are not just 20 global influencers. These are people who, I guess, share their gifts on social media, but they have a story behind it. They could be they could be good at art. They could be like painters, and they could be singers, dancers. Obviously for me, speakers, whatever it is. But they were looking for 20 talents worldwide. And they chose me and they said, Desthy, our job is to make you bigger. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, essentially our job is to elevate you so more traffic drives into the app. And they asked me, they're like, so what's your objective for this year? And I was just like, I'm sorry. I'm like, what's that got to do with the app? And they said, because we are going to tick off every single one of those lists. And we're going to make that happen for you. Like, I gave them my list and I was like, I want to be on TED Talk. I want to have a TV interview.
Put me in there.
Yeah. And yeah, like I told her, I was like,
but it's good, the power of vision. You wrote it down.
Right. And now, essentially, what I'm telling you guys is that I'm not even working as hard as I was a month ago for my dream. God have brought me the people to me to make me walk this dream. It's almost like I'm just sitting it's in back seat now, not even in a passenger seat, in the back seat. God is driving. He's got his map, and he's brought all the right people and all the right team that now can just elevate. And that's it. And that's my 2020. Like, it's been crazy.
It's only been a few days.
It's only right. It's been
first month. So much has come.
That's why I see her at the Ritz. I seen her at all these posh restaurants. I said, where's she with?
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah, but you've been having secret high profile meetings. I thought it was Freemasonry.
Like essentially these are the people that now are like representing me. And you know, like, I never had meetings at the Ritz. I never had meetings at the Landmark.
The Ritz.
And I'm just like, I was having meetings at Costa and Starbucks, you know what I mean? Like, just something chill. But these are proper people. Like, I remember meeting my PR and telling her, like, oh, you know, like, she asked me, she's like, oh, you know, how much do you get paid per post? And I told her. And she's like, don't worry about that, we'll fix that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, come on. Yeah.
I was like, I like that. So I was like,
there's a leak in the pipe. I'm gonna fix it. That's right.
Fix it.
Good.
Andre.
Come on.
She pulled out my new rate card within the next hour. She didn't just fix it. She quadrupled it.
Hey!
She quadrupled it. Like, it's mad. Even at the lineup of the speaking gigs I have. Remember, we were talking about, I remember that car journey from the last purpose, not this last purpose experience, but the one before that. And I was asking you about, like, oh, how do you do your mentorship program? Like, how much do you get paid? We're talking about prices.
Money, yeah.
And I was like, Andre, I'm not even getting paid. I'm not even doing things like for money right now. I was simply, this time actually, another real testimony. This time last year, what happened to me in February?
She lost her job at Charles Tyrwhitt.
I lost my job simply because I was actually trying to get my lunch right downstairs. I was working night shift. I was working 6 to 6. I was working night shift because my sister gave birth to my niece. My sister has blood clot in her lungs. So therefore she wasn't able to have babies. And after she'd given birth, she was hospitalized probably 3-4 times a week. She was going to the hospital to essentially like for her to get better because she was under a lot of health pressure. So I was pumping finance for the both of them, for my sister and my newborn baby niece. And I told both Fifi and MJ this time last year, I said to them, guys, I'm not here to beg for your sympathy, neither do I want you guys to worry for me. But what I need from you guys is please invest time and effort into me. And I promise you, give me a year and I will show you what I can do. I can do this. I don't need to work for nobody else. I know I'm meant to be in this life to have a purpose bigger than just working for somebody else. A year later, look where we are.
Come on. Now, on that is a wrap. Round of applause. Guys, I've been Andre Spence. This has been
amazing, Andre. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Desthy Dee. Thank you, Purpose Podcast, for having me.
And you can follow Desthy Dee on
Instagram, Desthy Dee, DESTHYDEE, on all social media platforms.
Well, she's got this thing down. You can follow me at Andre Spence, ANDRESPENCE, and Purpose Podcast. So not The Purpose Podcast, but Purpose Podcast. Also, we should have a Patreon page. We will leave the details there as well. Please make sure you subscribe. One more round of applause for Desthy. Thank you.